Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us. Whether you're watching this live or you're watching a replay, thank you for being part of our community and for joining or watching our videos. I am Susan Berishaj. For those of you who do not know me, I am the founder of SIA Admissions, and every week on Thursdays, I spend 30 minutes live with you to discuss a given topic about business schools. So the entire YouTube channel is focused on business school preparation, application, and I encourage you to watch the videos if you are going through this process, and subscribe to our channel to be notified to any of our future events. Today we are changing a little bit the discussion to move away from MBA interviews for the time being. Next week, we will have another session where we will discuss the, how to take advantage of the mock interviews that you have, the preparatory interviews that you have in advance of your MBA official interview. But today we're moving into, spending a little bit of time talking about those that are going through the business school selection process. So whether you are applying to the deferred program or you're applying to a business school next year, or even you have offers in hand and you want to really just think about what are some of the schools, this may be a good video for you to watch. So stay tuned. If you like the content of this video, I invite you to give it a thumbs up. That lets us know if you are looking for more videos like this. So with that, why don't we get started? As usual, I have prepared a few slides to go through. So as just as a quick intro, particularly for those who do not know me, I am, like I mentioned, the founder of SIA Admissions. I've been a coach for the past 8 years, and I've supported young, ambitious applicants go through the MBA, guiding them through the MBA application process, helping them focus primarily on top 20 business schools. I have a 94% placement rate, which means 94% of my clients that follow my process gain admission to at least one of their target institutions. I am really excited to support individuals who take this process very seriously and who are committed to putting their best foot forward throughout the application journey. And if you are someone who is going through this process and interested in talking about how I can support you, I invite you to reach out. I do have a 30-minute complimentary consultation where we talk about your profile, we talk about what you're looking to do, and we talk about essentially your ambitions and ways that we can support you on this journey, and if it's a good fit, because it's a two-way street, of course. So with that, why don't we dive right into the topic for today? So I have a few areas that we're going to be covering. So we'll look at, why the business school selection process, and also talk about ranking, and then how you go about looking at the schools that you are targeting, and how can those essentially what are some of the criteria, rather, that you can evaluate as each of the schools that you're considering before you make your final selection. The idea here is that we start broad and narrow things down. You are going to, most applicants, not everyone, but most applicants are applying to 5 to 6 business schools when they go through this process. It's a very rigorous process as far as what is required of you to do to showcase that you are, one, one, to showcase you're a really good candidate for business school, two, that you are ready for this next chapter in your career, and three, that you know why you are applying to each one of the business schools that you are targeting. So you start broad, and then you narrow down to that 5 to 6 schools that you are applying, that you are targeting, so that you maximize outputs in this application cycle. So why is business school selection so important? One, obviously, quality of education and opportunities is one of the main reasons that applicants go through this process when they are preparing or when they make the decision that an MBA is the right fit for them, or is the right career move for them. You also want to look at the strength of the network in your desired industry. I know that a lot of applicants are interested in consulting post-MBA or finance or tech. It is just the majority of the MBA classroom is looking for those kinds of opportunities. But in this process, when you're going through the selection process of your goals and your what is it that you want to do, what impact you want to make in the world, it's when you say finance, when you say consulting, when you say technology, those are catch-all words that can mean many different things. And a part of your journey in an MBA program, or even before you start the program, is to really evaluate what sector, what part of that space you're interested in impacting. So it's really important to think about and to look at business schools from the perspective of the strength of the network in your desired industry, within that subsector or within that area that you're interested in making an impact in. It also provides a lot of access to the right resources, the right kind of community. When we are in the workforce, we are sometimes limited to the individuals that are cultivated by that company, the company's objectives, right? And they may not be exactly in line with where you're looking to go. One of the reasons why I love academia is just all the kinds of different interests and different perspectives that make up institution and the environment, and the excitement about discussing ideas and discussing what are the problems and how to solve those problems. And obviously, of course, institutions do invest a lot of capital on resources and opportunities for candidates. So an MBA would be offering, you want to look at the kind of opportunities that an MBA offers you to, so that you can have that access. You can access those right resources to help you get the right experiences to get to your job or the desired career and the impact that you're looking to make. Obviously, I would not be doing justice to anyone here thinking that reputation and brand is of no importance. Of course, those are important. We live in society that those things actually matter a lot. So you want to also look at the reputation of the institution and its brand in your chosen field. Is it really important that you have an MBA? Sometimes, I speak with engineers, for example, and they may be kind of in the manufacturing space, or maybe in a much more technical environment. And those individuals, if they plan to stay in that space, an MBA is not going to really raise any eyebrows. So you may want to really look at the brand of the program, of the business school, and how it supports and how it helps you essentially get to your chosen career and your chosen path. I look at an MBA as an opportunity for you to collapse time. Meaning, from where you are currently to where you're looking to go, it should be able to get you there much faster than you would without an MBA, because it is not, of course, the end all be all. It's not a required degree, but it is one that will help expedite your progress, your professional progress, and obviously help you make more money, especially if you are looking to particularly change geographies. And then, of course, the return on investment. You are investing quite a lot upfront for the long-term return. What is that long-term return for you specifically, in your field specifically? That is a reality that you must consider in your business school selection process. So if you are, working in private equity and you want to continue in private equity, well, there's only certain business schools that you should be targeting that will have a return on investment, not all, right? So this is the right time for you to start thinking about those elements as you prepare and as you think about the business school and the next opportunities it provides. So ranking, when you look at ranking, actually, most of the formula of the ranking, this is a quote from the US News and World Report as far as their rankings are concerned, most of it is very objective, right? The ranking system, it's very much objective, looking at data points. Most of it is the earnings and placement of students, which is great. However, there's a variety of different sub-factors within that may impact your particular experience. So you really want to look at what the culture is, what the opportunities are, again, in your area of interest, that go beyond the ranking. Ranking is good to know where employers are considering, what employers are considering as a really strong business school and how they rank them. But again, it's not the end all be all, right? So let's go into how you should be looking at and starting your research process of the business school selection. So you want to look at the program offerings and specializations. So if you want a specific area of exposure, perhaps renewable energy, or perhaps you are interested in sustainability in a more broader sense, look for those opportunities that the school provides. If their efforts are not in that space or have limited efforts in that space, then it may be a good school to think about, but it should not be part of your top list, because if you're looking to gain that exposure, if you're looking to gain experience in that space, well, they don't have those opportunities for you. So why choose that school when you can choose others that do have those opportunities? So even like if you're thinking of healthcare, you're interested in healthcare, particularly if you do not have healthcare experience, look for programs that have a lot of opportunities for you to gain hands-on exposure in that space so that the transition becomes much smoother post-MBA. Obviously, network is important. So if they offer a specialization, it means that they have put in a lot of investments in that space. That means they have professors who can teach that, they have hands-on learning opportunities, and they have a network. They may also have career services that are specialized in that space, and executive coaches who can help you make sure that you're making the most out of the MBA before you make this transition. So really look for what the opportunities are before you make your final selection. And I would say even before you dive in here into what the schools are, what they offer and how to discern that, I would suggest that you first and foremost look at what is it that you want. Where is it you're going? So what's your long-term goal? What's your short-term goal? What's the difference between those opportunities? Is it a sector difference or whatever those differences are? And what do you look for in an MBA? What do you want it in an ideal world? What do you want it to give you? Then you can look at essentially what are options. Because if you start first looking at what is it that you want, you're going to be unbiased, or you're going to be, it's going to be a much more genuine reflection of your particular desires as opposed to being swayed by marketing of a given school. So first do a reflection internally, and then start looking, using these parameters to evaluate the schools that you have on your list. Then I want you to look at with your goal alignment. How does your short and long-term goals align with the school's available resources? So what leadership development opportunities do they have, what networking opportunities, and what culture and values do they embody, and how much do they match you and your interests. So then, of course, career support is so important. You still, if you're investing $250,000+ in your MBA at a top 20 business school, you want to make sure that by the time you leave that program, you have a job offer. At least most people want that. So what are the resources? What are the career support look like? Do they have executive coaching, and how does that look? What are the job search like and placement? What are the resources that they have? How much is career services supporting you? Do you have access to the right network? Is there any industry specific support that you are getting? So sometimes schools have industry specific career coaches that are in staff, that are staffed by the career placement office, so they can give you specific career advice on that given industry that you are interested. And then what are the employer relationships? Do they have relationships with the employers that you are looking to be working with? Or even if do they have connections to the sector that you're interested in working in, because that will also dictate your success post MBA. Campus culture is also very important. You want to understand the school culture and values, and then to do that, you can of course read online, but it's not enough to read online. They're not going to really capture the school culture in marketing keywords. So the way you do that is by talking to current students and alumni. You want to attend online and in-person events where possible. Speak with admission representative where possible. I know that not every school offers this option. And then you want to pay attention to patterns and themes in those discussions. If you speak to 3 to 5 students, you're going to start hearing similar components, right? And that's an indication of what the culture is like. So if it matches your values, then that's great. But if it doesn't match your values, is not what you're looking for, then that may not be the right school for you. And it's okay if it's not the right school for you. Don't try to make it fit, because the reality is there are other programs that are out there that may be a better fit for you, that you may be dismissing or not thinking about, that you will have a much more enjoyable time there. And it's a lot of work to go through an MBA program, and to do it in a place where you're not enjoying yourself, you don't feel like you belong. It's not the right investment of your $250,000. And then you are also, you're like I mentioned earlier, you start broad, meaning a larger list than what you're planning to target. And then you start comparing the discussions, comparing the notes that you've received from the different students and the different conversations you've had. And then even if the list is still really long, then you want to really trust your gut. I know this is not scientifically proven, but the more you can step away from your ego and focus more on really what it is that you want, you're genuinely the kind of environment that you will thrive in, that's more likely going to be the place where you're going to have not only a lot of fun, but when you're having fun, you're also going to put forth your best self, and people are going to be attracted to you. Employers are going to be attracted to you because you are having fun in the process. So this, I would say, is a really important component, and I will stop my presentation at this point. If you enjoyed this topic, give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more like this, give this video a thumbs up. Give us commentary on what we can do next, so that we can make sure that our videos that we're sharing are in alignment with what you guys are looking for as well, and your journey in this process. So I'm going to move to questions that have come through the registration. So let me just remove the presentation and go down to questions that have come in. So we can start. So what are the key differences between 1 year and 2 year MBA program? The major difference between a 1 year and a 2 year program is a 1 year, most of the people that do a 1 year program are going in, getting the MBA and getting out, meaning career changes are not as frequent, although they happen, but you don't have an internship. You're really going in for the courses. It's very much course heavy, and obviously it's the time is collapsed in when you are going to be or how long it takes you to go through this entire process. So I would say if you are looking to go back to the same space, particularly like in the US, you're looking to go back to your employer, a 1 year MBA may make sense. But if you want a full MBA experience, then the 2 year program is right for you. You do have the internship, you have an opportunity to test out the career change that you're thinking about through the summer internship. And if you don't like it, then you can still recruit the second year, which would be a much more limiting opportunity in that regard for the 1 year program. How should I weigh the importance of business school's ranking versus its fit for my needs? The fit for your needs is much more important than the ranking. Ranking is, is evaluated very objectively from metrics, and you are a human being. You have specific needs, you have specific environments that you thrive in that are maybe better than others. So I would say your needs are more important than the ranking, and focus on what it is that you need. Sometimes, applicants are looking at top ranked programs, and but in order for them to attend, they may need a scholarship, and you can get admitted to a program and not have the capability to get the funds aligned. But if you've applied to a top 15 or top 20 business school, you may have gotten scholarship, which would have made that entire process much more accessible for you, as far as like you being able to actually attend and afford that MBA. So really do look at what are your specific needs. Rankings are important, but not the end all be all. What are the benefits and drawbacks of attending a smaller, more intimate business school versus a larger, well-known one? Large programs do try to create that intimacy through the cluster system and the learning teams, which are much smaller. But there's always, of course, this fear of I'm 1 in 1,000 MBA candidates. From the conversations that I've had with clients that have gone to very large institutions, they have shared that the schools do try to build those bonds, and then you are able to still build bonds through clubs and area of interest with individuals that are interested in the space that you are interested in as well. The smaller programs are also, of course, there's a lot of camaraderie and it's a lot of support. But as you know, sometimes that can also be a place where you may not feel that there's a lot of opportunities matching your needs. Because while you may want to go in consulting, and a lot of people are also interested in consulting, you're not a sort of two-dimensional person, right? You have many different interests that may look slightly different than that of the other person. So look for opportunities when you're selecting between programs. Look for places, both professional clubs, but also social clubs that align with your interests. If you are going into a small program and there are also social clubs that are of interest to you, that you would see yourself happily being a leader in, an active member in, then that means you will have enough community to find your space. But if you don't see those, that means that there's probably not a lot of people who have the same interest. So you may want to look for a larger program. Typically, there is a lot of opportunities for you to find like-minded individuals. So Wharton is notorious for having one of the largest lists of social clubs, professional clubs, out of all the MBA programs. I think it's top 20 MBA programs. And that's because they look at it from the perspective of, if you have an interest, someone else in the 1,000 people that attend will also have an interest. So start a club if there's not one there. So you want to weigh in what kind of experiences you want to have, and how much of those opportunities are already baked into the program. And if they're not, then you want to weigh in, is that some place that you can really thrive in or not? What are the best ways to get in touch with current students or alumni to learn about their experiences? Excellent question. So the easiest way to find like-minded people is to reach out to the leadership of the clubs that are in the leading clubs that are of interest to you. That can be your starting point, and then you can go from there based on who they recommend you speak to, based on your specific interests. Be ready to have to talk about your goals with these individuals, because they will all ask you what your goals are. You shouldn't go to those conversations with I don't know actually what I want to do. I just want to do an MBA, because they can make that decision for you, and they can't be as helpful for you if you don't know what you're looking to do. As far as alumni, look for individuals who are in the kind of roles that you want to be in the future. Find commonalities. So LinkedIn is a great way to start your search. Look at companies that you're interested in working at, and look at who their employees are, and what institutions have they attended, so that this way you can find the individuals that you need. Excellent. What are the common pitfalls to avoid when selecting a business school? Solely focusing on rank. That is one of the biggest pitfalls that I've seen candidates make. And also not doing your due diligence. It's really important to do your due diligence in the process of your application or your school selection, because if you are not aligning with the students and the alumni that you're speaking with before you even apply, this means that you're most likely not going to align in the program itself. Right? So the ranking is irrelevant if you are not in alignment. And those individuals are representatives of what your classmates, what your peers are going to look like in the future, right? So if you are, if there's a disconnect between you and them, that there's a high probability that that's not going to be the right fit for you. Now, this also means that you shouldn't make your decision based on one conversation, right? Because of course we all have our things we like, we dislike, our personalities, and all different layers to each individual. But if you have a couple of calls, you should be able to discern a theme of what's actually happening on ground. So last question, what insights can you provide about balancing part-time MBA with full-time work? Absolutely. So this is a very difficult place to be honest, because your work is going to have its own requirements, and then your MBA is going to have its own requirements. So for a foreseeable future, you're probably not going to have a very active social life, just because of the high demands of both, right? A full-time job and a part-time job, part-time MBA, excuse me. So I would say look for one, you should be speaking with your supervisor about the workload and about the work schedule, if there are flexibilities there, and just be really focused on making sure that you are planning your days, your weeks, your months ahead of time on what can you the amount of studying that you need to do, the amount of project work you need to do. Obviously knowing that, the plans need to be somewhat malleable from the perspective of things will come up that you did not anticipate. However, the more planned you are, the more structured you are, the more you can balance the two. Otherwise, it's going to feel extremely overwhelming, and you may feel disappointed in the entire process. But if you start this journey and don't complete it, you don't get an MBA. You don't get to show that you have attended this particular school, right? So if you want to start this journey, make sure that you have the capability and you have the flexibility from your job to actually be able to successfully complete the part-time MBA. So with that, we're going to bring this session to a close. Thank you so much for your presence and watching this video. If you have any topics that you would like to discuss in the future, please write in the comment, or if you have any questions that I didn't get to answer, please write them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them offline. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.